Hello everyone and welcome. So my apartment tour video ended up being a bigger hit than I expected, and I actually had some people who wanted a specific tour of just my collection, which I'm going to try and focus on here. So where I'm actually going to start is here in this corridor leading to the bathroom, because here is where, among other things, I keep these press clippings. So I've been, collecting toys my entire adult life, and I've had huge collections in the past. But the largest sort of part of my collecting history is my Simpsons collecting. I started collecting Simpsons in a really big way around the year 2000 with the World of Springfield, which I'll show you very shortly, and ended up growing into a huge collection which took over my entire old apartment in Queens and made me a very, very famous Simpsons collector. I joined a lot of online forums, and a number of Simpsons collectors and I didn't really like the forums that were out there. So we sort of formed our own, which was the Simpsons Collector sector, simpsonscollectors.com. Here's one. And here I'll show you a couple of photos. Like this is a good photo here from Time Out New York. Kind of shows the collection a little bit. And actually I think this one here, just stuff everywhere. So, as you can see, my collection used to be much huger, and I really pared it down. And one of the reasons, besides obviously cost and space, but I started talking to some collectors who almost were describing their collecting as like an addiction, and I never really wanted to think of it that way. And I just realized that when you have this much stuff, the only thing that's really interesting about your collection is the volume and size of it. Individual pieces aren't necessarily interesting because, again, what individual pieces do you notice when it's just all, piled up? Like you can see in some of these old photos. So I really decided to pare it down when I moved in with my now husband and just focus on the stuff that I thought was the most interesting or had special sentimental meaning to me, and I'll show you some of that. This is a letter I got from Morgan Spurlock after I appeared in the 20th anniversary special, which aired on Fox. I'll try and find a way to get a clip of that online. It says, Jeremy, thanks again for opening your home and collection to us for the Simpsons special. It came out so great. The collector section is one of my favorites in the show. Have a wonderful 2010, Morgan. Some Simpsons stamps here. So I mentioned I got into the Simpsons in a big way because of the World of Springfield. So that's really where I'm going to move first. I've got 2 IKEA Billy shelves full of them, which bookend both ends of our television. And what appealed to me about this is most Simpsons merchandise for most of the 1990s, and I'll show you a couple pieces soon from the 1990s, was just, here's the Simpsons family, here's a Bart t-shirt, here's a Homer thing. And The Simpsons is just full of all these characters. The thing that's great about The Simpsons is the world of it. And so here was the World of Springfield, and Playmates Toys' premise was they weren't going to just do Homer and Bart and the family, they were going to do every obscure character you could think of. They ended up between 2000 and around 2006, they ended up doing 40 of these play sets and over 100 individual figures, everyone from the family themselves to the most obscure characters like Gil, the Van Houtens, Reverend Gil and Marty here from the radio station. And it's really actually was an amazing toy line, and kind of amazing it lasted so well when you realize that the majority of figures they were selling were, the judge, the blue-haired lawyer, Lionel Hutz, Fat Tony, and all these guys, and just these really obscure characters. It's a testament to how popular The Simpsons was with collectors in this era, and this really was the golden age of Simpsons collecting. Like I said, we had this whole website, the Simpsons Collector sector. We got to meet with executives from Playmate Toys who used us for market research about what characters and things people wanted. At one point, I got flown out to Los Angeles to attend the premiere at Universal Studios of a Simpsons video game, and was really great. At one point, I was one of the most prominent Simpsons collectors in the world, hence why I got featured in that documentary, which aired on Fox. Now, these play sets were interesting. I'll come over to the other shelf here to show you the actual Simpsons family because they were interactive. So each of these figures, like you can see here, Homer, they had a chip in the foot, And when you plug them into these readers here on the set, they would interact with them. So here's Duffman, for instance, at Moe's Tavern.
Are you ready to get duffed?
Or Apu here at the bowling alley.
The bully rollers are hit by one pin, and we only have one bowler left, Mr. Burns.
So it was a really kind of unique thing that was really geared toward the adult market. And this was sort of this new age where you were having all these toys geared toward the adult market. What's kind of weird about this is this started this golden age of Simpsons collecting, which is unfortunately now over. These have not appreciated well in value. You can find most of these on eBay for their original retail price or below. One thing you'll notice is I have almost no toys in their original packaging. To me, that's just a really stale, boring way, and says to me that you're kind of hoping you're just going to try and resell them later on. These are obviously meant to be displayed and arranged in this way. And I obviously tried to arrange them in certain ways. Like here are all things connected to the Simpsons house, places Homer enjoys, related to Homer again. So things that are related to Krusty and show business and stuff like that. So there is a rhyme and reason to the order in which I've displayed all of these things, municipal things, again, sort of semi-municipal things related to the kids, related to sort of old people, character-specific and episode-specific stuff down here. So these bookend my television because these really mean a lot to me because this was a whole decade of my life represented by just this one line of toys. And I have friends that I met just because of this line of toys that I met through the various places I went and online forums and things like that. So coming over here, we've got this cool Star Wars poster. I'll just zoom this really quick, but this is a shelf of Ezra's stuff. His little book. This is a really cool Lego box that was made for us for our wedding by some friends for the wedding cards, which are still in there. Kid Robot Dunny. That was sort of a cool art toy. We just used it as you can see, a guest book for the wedding. It's my stuff. Here's these cool Disney Vinylmation things that they used to make that unfortunately they don't do anymore. And these are sort of related to our travels for the most part. This one here is from Disneyland Paris. They did these country-specific ones. Custom bobbleheads. Hypnotoad, which is a Kid Robot thing. TARDIS. All of our DVDs, because yes, physical media is important. These are various gifts we got. Cool souvenir sake box from a food tour we took in Japan. These Star Wars mouse ears are from the first trip Ezra and I ever took together, which was to Disney World in Florida. And then we got these matching Pixar ears on our trip to Disneyland in California last year. More travel souvenirs over here by the plants near the window. Some of these are shot glasses that were sort of given to us as gifts, and a lot of them are souvenirs from our travels. Like down here. Just a fun thing we like to collect when we visit various places. So yes, now other than World of Springfield, my current favorite collection that's still ongoing is done by Kid Robot. So Kid Robot, for those of you who don't know, is a company that produces art toys. They really think of them more as art than toys. For example, these sort of Andy Warhol pieces up here, but they've been doing Simpsons stuff for years, and these are arranged by theme as well. You can see Moe's Tavern, the Simpsons family up here, Treehouse of Horror, Halloween stuff over here. And what's unique about Kid Robot and why their stuff is very popular, it's a very popular thing with Japanese toys, which influenced the sort of vinyl toy movement, and that is that all their stuff is blind boxed. So say if you went into a store to buy these, you would not say go and buy Groundskeeper Willie, you would just get a box and you'd have no idea who was in it. So you'd end up getting duplicates, you'd end up having to trade or find ones online. Some of these were rarer than others. When a complete case would be sold to a stores, there were many that would only be one in a single case. So that made them very rare, like this Hans Moleman here, which goes for $200 on eBay. And they also, in addition to these smaller ones, they had some larger ones, like these Kang and Kodos ones, really appreciating value. These retailed for $35 each. At one point, these were going for about $1,000 for the pair. I think that's come down to around $500 or $600 or so for the pair, but some of these are pretty rare. Like just this Love Tester here, one point was going for like $90, $100 on eBay. So I really love these because I love the sort of vinyl art toy style of them, and I like that they're doing so many of the characters. Again, as you can see, the overarching theme between World of Springfield and this is just the breadth of the characters is what I really like. But going to sort of posters, I have these Simpsons posters here, including this one in the middle was done as a sort of protest when Michael Bloomberg ran for a third term as New York City mayor. This is a print from the Simpsons movie, signed with original artwork by Matt Groening himself that I got at San Diego Comic-Con, literally the day after the Simpsons movie came out in 2007. So going to sort of my art toy collection, well, this isn't a toy, but this is a cool woodcut by artist Joe Ruto. New York City street art fans will be familiar with his stuff. So it's just a piece of wood. A woodcut is just basically a piece of wood that's been spray painted over, and it's a little kid with a spray can. You can see up there. Get these Andy Warhol Kid Robot things. This little make your own, design your own lighthouse. This was a Buff Monster vinyl thing that was a reward for a Kickstarter project he did. Street Artist Below Key sells stuff like this on his website. You can find that online. A toy which is by a company called Medicom of Jean-Michel Basquiat and some Kid Robot Basquiat design dunnies down here. This was a collaboration with street artist Kenny Scharf and Kid Robot to do this Bart Simpson, but done obviously in a sort of Kenny Scharf style. Many people are familiar with Ron English and his sort of style. Here's a Captain Crunch that's by him, and his sort of famous Ronald McDonald, which he does involves in a lot of his artwork. This was a New York Comic-Con exclusive. You can see the New York insignia there. Sort of half is the typical way you would see it in his artwork. The other half is dissected, and that skeletal part actually glows in the dark. This was the Medicom Keith Haring. A metal piece by Kid Robot with collaboration with street artist Kenny Scharf. Bought this cool thing at Toy Tokyo. This is by street artist Joe Pro, cool little unicorn, and a sort of make your own water tower. So those are part of my sort of street art related sort of collection, art surrounding some of this Kid Robot stuff here. More Simpsons stuff is below the Legos, but I'll start with those. This is sort of my Lego sub-collection of skylines and depictions of places where I've been. So various architecture, creator sets, and some of these skylines all depicting landmarks that I've seen on my travels. And here's some miscellaneous Simpsons stuff. This is not necessarily part of larger collections, but this is stuff that maybe has more meaning to me. These are these cool bookending here 20th anniversary sets that were done in Australia. This shelf here is a mix of stuff that's involving like food products for the most part. You got some of these Duff things and Pez collectors, things from theme parks and various places like that. Here up at the front, like this flaming Mo glass from Universal Studios. Gentle Giant bust-ups. Various Simpson books and style guides. Like this is a replica, an original early 90s style guide for companies that were creating Simpsons merchandise, so they would know how the characters were supposed to look, and facial expressions and stuff like that. All stuff related to the Simpsons movie. These are original toys. In the back are Burger King from 1990, and in the front, the Mattel figures from 1990. So again, most Simpsons merchandise for a very long time was just the basic family. Moving into the bedroom. It's where the bulk of my Lego collection is. Books and graphic novels. Since I was talking about street art, here's another woodcut. This one I paid a pretty good penny for. It's by artist Matt Gondek, showing the Simpsons characters, minus Marge for some reason, in his sort of signature style. And these pieces by street artist Jerkface. So when Jerkface would do a new gallery opening, he would give the first 50 people online, signed and numbered, this free print. So it was a way to encourage people to line up and gain buzz for his show. So I went to 3 of his gallery openings and waited long online to get these free prints. Some Simpsons plushes in the corner. I used to have a much larger plush collection. This is all that is left. Some random toys over here. Grover, this Mr. Met bobblehead from Star Wars Night. This really cool piece that was done by an artist in collaboration with Kid Robot. Some random things here like Scott Pilgrim. Random Disney things. My pins / prizes from winning various years worth of Ample Hills challenges. Theme park souvenirs and comic books down here. And cool Lego stuff like up here. These are various Lego giveaways and exclusives and stuff like that. You have this Lego store. They were giving this out for years to the first few, groups of people online who would go to a new Lego store. But for a long time, what they would do was each Lego store opening had its own unique Lego piece that was unique to that place. Like when Roosevelt Field opened out in Long Island, they had a plane because that used to be an airport. And when the one in Queens opened, they had this, which was basically their Lego model of an old Redbird subway car, which Queens natives would have been very familiar with. Here you could see these little Duplo bricks from the Flatiron opening, stuff like that. Oh, here's a cool Yoda from the Times Square Toys R Us, may it rest in peace. Star Wars Legos. 2 layers of Simpsons Legos, including the house and the Quickie Mart. Some minifigures. Marvel Comics Legos. Harry Potter Legos. And Lego Movie Legos. This is another Lego shelf. That's a cool piece. That's not done by Lego. It's done by a company called Mighty Jacks, but I really love the style of it. A Lego fetus is admittedly kind of a weird, scary concept. 2 layers of Disney stuff, including this WALL-E one, which they did many years ago. It's one of my favorite Lego pieces. So much fun to build and just really kind of beautiful looking. More Disney Lego vehicles, including this VW camper, which is one of my favorite pieces, and Lord of the Rings. Technically, I also consider this a Lego place I've been, because we've actually been to the actual set where they filmed all the Shire stuff for Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movies over in New Zealand. So I've actually stood in front of the actual set where they filmed Bag End. Some of my travel books and New York specific books and New York specific Lego sets like the Guggenheim, UN, and the Skyline. So some just random New York books. Lego town stuff all over here, including a Lego sightseeing bus and the little sort of snack stand where you can buy tickets for your sightseeing hop-on, hop-off tours. Do you guys remember tours? That was fun. Lego Capitol building, which is so wide it basically got its own shelf. More sort of Lego town stuff here, including the Parisian restaurant, which is a big favorite for Lego collectors. There's Lego DC. Some stuff on the, random stuff on the desk. Lego Indiana Jones, Simpsons keychains and toys, My Little Pony. This little one here actually was given to by a Kid Robot employee when I visited their headquarters in Colorado. 3D glasses from the premiere of the Avengers movie, 3D glasses from the premiere of the Lego movie. Piece of artwork from artist Ruben Bowling. So Here's my certificate from Ganek when I completed their certification course. And these are some fun pieces. You can find these at the Union Square Holiday Market every year. There's a company called Line Posters that creates these. It's their replicas of transit systems. And I bought one for every transit line that they had that I've ridden. So this is my collection, and I'll sort of start to wrap up now. Like I said, I can see if I can dig out some old photos, but I just used to have such a huge collection. It was just literally piled up everywhere. All this sort of open space I have currently, never used to have before. And so, like I said, it just really occurred to me that the more stuff you have, the less interesting your collection is. So I just really wanted to curate it to the stuff that I really like the most, like these Lego sets that are really sort of unique and that I really like. So again, only collecting Lego subsets that kind of appeal to me in a different way. And with my Simpsons collection, really just keeping it to the few sort of sub things that had some sort of meaning to me. Like this, you know, these Lego sets are all to me just sort of mementos of travel more than they are Lego pieces, and just stuff here representing my street art passion and stuff like this, and going all the way back into the living room to, again, World of Springfield, which to me not only represents The Simpsons, but also sort of a year of my life in this sort of collector world. Disney posters representing my love of theme parks and stuff like this. So I really wanted the collection to sort of be an extension of my passions and mementos from different parts of my life. And so that's sort of why I collect the things I do, why I still have the collections I do, and why they're sort of displayed in the way that they are. And you can see particularly here in the foyer, it's ultimately kind of minimalist, you know, versus the amount of, relative to the amount of space, because I just really want the things that I do have to stand out rather than my collection standing out just for its volume. So I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Please send me any questions that you have, and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.